What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 136. Yes, of TDSN Sports News. As always, my name is Garrett here, my co-host.
What it do? What it do? This is Jalen, Prince. What it do, bro? Missed you last
I'm
week.
back. I know. I was in Fenway watching the Red Sox get smacked by the Yankees, which I was, as the fan, I was very happy about us getting destroyed. But whatever, it's fine. Cora's gone. I'm
Yeah.
happy, so we're good. I hope that was what the issue was, because I correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the Red Sox have the opposite issue what the Braves do. So the Braves issue is the bats are live, but outside of Chris Sale, the pitching is
To a degree.
Whereas the Red Sox, outside of Duran, the bats are garbage. Duran's the only one getting hits, in my opinion. At least it was when I was there. But I will die on this hill. If you haven't been to Fenway, go. Red Sox fan or not, baseball fan or not, it's a cool park, man. I haven't been in 20 years. It is such a cool park. So I would highly encourage everybody to make their way out to Fenway. But I want to appreciate you guys holding it down for a little bit while I'm gone. You guys know that was happening when I wasn't here. And in the meantime, while you're doing that, go follow us on the socials. At TDSN Pod on Twitter, at TDSN Pod on TikTok, and over on YouTube is the exact same thing. That's you can go back, watch all of our live streams, watch it with visuals, everything like that, because there are visuals to this, whether you believe it or not. This is why watching on YouTube is almost as good, if not just as good, as listening to whatever podcast platform we listen to. It's all great. We appreciate it. We'll get right into it, man. Something big happened over the weekend. Something big in sports.
A lot of things happened.
Something like the draft.
Yeah, a lot of things happened over the weekend.
Something like the NFL draft. So we have a general draft recap. We'll keep it pretty brief. We're going to look at the first round. Some picks that I liked. Obviously both of us were incredibly wrong on a lot of this. Although I did think I called the Ione pick. I think I called that. We all called Mendoza.
It was by far one of the most unpredictable first round drafts that we've seen in quite some time. But not much of a disappointment. And I mean, most folks want to look at it as a whole, realistically. As far as the draft itself being good for TV, I mean, you can't really say yes, and you can't really say no. But overall, what stuck out to you in the first round? We'll do the first round, and obviously we can talk about we'll get onto our topic for for later on in the show. But what kind of stuck out with you in the draft?
Besides the Browns being competent for the first time in a long time, and the Jets too, man. Jets had a good draft. Jets had a really good draft, and I'll give them that. But to me, the thing that surprised me the most is there weren't really any, and there's going to be people who see what I'm wearing. If you're watching this, I am a Jaguars fan. It's your first time here. This is not the homer in me talking. I don't think there were any inherently bad drafts. I feel like everybody had a couple reaches. Everybody, some more so than others. We always keep it a buck here. Some had more reaches than others, but I don't think anybody had a straight up and we won't know for a couple years, but I don't think anybody had a straight up awful draft, in my opinion. So I don't know. What about you?
Biggest takeaway from the draft is, first off, we knew that this draft by far was going to be a defensive style draft and a few offensive linemen. I mean, we saw several offensive linemen. Some of them we predicted, some of them we did not. But overall, it was basically about defense, and it was about offensive linemen. This was a depth type draft. You didn't have a ton of superstars in this draft. You didn't have a ton of game changers in this draft. You might not have any for a few. Biggest surprise was Jeremiah Love going number 3 overall to the Cardinals.
Thank you so much.
That one surprised me just a tad bit. Obviously, I know why you're thinking. I know why you're thinking, but overall, that one did catch my surprise. The other shock was the Jets went the David Bailey route and not the Alvaro Reese route, and that was kind of interesting on my part. So, not mad at it, just I just didn't see that coming. That was not on my bingo card.
Well, and we'll get into that a little bit later because you guys started a game last week, which I appreciate. I'm drawing a blank at his name who filled me in.
That was Jack.
Jack. Yep. Jack, I apologize. I have been running around like crazy. I've got 3 brain cells functioning right now, so we'll have fun with this.
Hey, we're just happy that he was able to step in.
Exactly. Jack did great, and I appreciate it. But you guys started a thing that we're going to get to later in the show called Click-Debait, where we debate clickbaity topics. We'll get into that one later.
Yeah, but to touch on that real quick. So the Browns, they drafted good. They had an A+ grade. The Raiders really could not go any wrong with their draft class this year because you basically knew exactly what they needed to get. But I was more pleased with them on drafting a lot of defense on their side, getting K'Ron Crawford, and basically taking a big risk with Jermod McCoy, who prior to injuries was projected to be one of the top corners in this draft. But obviously the knee issues that were reported from whether it was ESPN, CBS, NFL, like they just didn't turn out as good or as comfortable as a lot of owners and scouts might have thought. That like because if he was healthy, he would have been one of the top corners picked. But we knew why he failed, and that was because of the knee issues. But if he's able to be healthy, and again, you can say this about a lot of players, if he's able to be healthy, he can be a premier corner for the Raiders, and the Raiders have been missing that for a long time. But look, we knew that was getting Mendoza. That was no big secret.
Right.
You really couldn't do no wrong with what they already had. The Raiders needed to load up on talent, and I think if they're able to develop the talent under Clint Kubiak, under the ownership of Tom Brady and company, you could be able to turn this franchise around if you're able to do the right things and do what you're supposed to do, both from every role of the franchise. So, we have to see it on the field, but I think the Raiders kind of took like the good first steps. That's why I would grade them high, but that's just me.
I did say that Ty Simpson was going round 1. I was just wrong as to where, but I did know Buddy was going round 1.
Well, somebody said it's interesting on ESPN when I was watching it. They said, I think it was Louis Riddick. Anyway, if I get this wrong, I think the person said this. You want to get your franchise quarterback when you don't need to get your franchise quarterback, especially when you're at the caliber of the LA Rams. They're not going to be drafting in a position that is a top 12 or above for a long time. Under Sean McVay, under that defense, under just with the offensive unit. So for Ty Simpson to go to the Rams is a blessing both for him and for the franchise because again, how old is Matthew Stafford?
Old. By football standards, old.
I think late
38, 39.
Yeah, around that range. We'll have to fact check. But Matthew Stafford's getting up there in age, by the way. Are you looking up the age?
Yep, right now.
All right. Matthew Stafford's up there in age.
He is 38. I nailed it.
He's 38 years old. I'd say he got 3 under this offense, and like with his health now as in being in LA, say got about maybe 2-3 more seasons left.
2 max.
And look, we've seen this formula happen before where guys that weren't expecting to get somebody draft their replacement. But the franchise got to do what the franchise got to do because they're not going to be in a position to be able to get a quarterback. And you do not want to be in the likes of the Pittsburgh Steelers where you don't get to draft your quarterback that is panned out. You want to be a little bit more like the Packers that have had success with their franchise quarterback for the last few years. So I don't knock the pick as much as others might.
It seems like the Rams did right by Stafford too by going, hey, this is what we're doing. Your job is secure. We're bringing him in for when you're done, whenever that may be. So they've locked him up for at least 5 years. So that gives him time to figure out what's actually going to happen, which I appreciate. Again, to your point, you're in the position to get a guy who you feel is a great fit in your offense, puts you leaps and bounds above Jimmy Garoppolo as your backup quarterback. He's a young cat. You got him on a cheap contract or cheap by quarterback standards. And you have him for 5 years. 5 years guaranteed if you want him, 4 if you don't. So you're at a point where now Stafford doesn't feel like he has to put it together for another season if he doesn't have it. And McVay even said it. He's like, if he wants to run it back for the next 10 years, I'm in. Like it's whatever. But we made it abundantly clear that we are not replacing him right now. This is for when he decides to hang him up, because we feel this is our guy. And they told Ty that in the process too. So everything, I mean, like, I'm good with it. I don't mind the pick. There's a lot of picks I didn't mind, and it's we'll get into it a little bit later. But it's one of those things that I don't want to ruin my argument for later.
Then save it later. Then let me go.
But it's also, I mean, for me, like the consensus boards mean nothing.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll get on that a little bit later. One thing I want to touch before we move on is when it comes to situations like this, I saw like a few Rams fans would say, "Why don't you just get another target, possibly go offensive lineman?" Because their offensive line is not that great, but it's not that bad at the same time. And you look at the rest of their picks, they would go Max Clare from tight end from Ohio State. They did go tackle with Keegan Tross from Missouri. They went CJ Daniels from Miami, and they went Tim Keenan, a former nose tackle for Alabama. I mean, they didn't have a ton of picks this season, well, in this year's draft class. So I guess you could say they could have gone more weapons, but at the same time, it's like you got to prepare for the future. And I feel like a lot of these were future investment picks. And heck, USA Today, they had the Giants as well as some other teams as having a class that is built for value in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish we had a little bit more time to be able to speak on the Giants, because like I was impressed with the Giants draft pick.
Giants look good.
Getting Maui Goa at 10, able to steal Alvaro Reese at number 5, add him with Thibodeau. Lawrence is not there, but you still got Carter. Like the Giants should be much improved this season, and I think you made draft picks where those guys are going to be able to impact day one.
100%. But let's keep it draft, but let's go into the next thing. So let's talk about your Seahawks and my Jags.
So I'm gonna go.
Yeah, go first.
All right, so I'm gonna go first on this one. Here's how I feel about my Seahawks in the draft on our part. So it's quite simple where we needed to go. It was no big secret. It was no big kept secret.
Mm-hmm.
We needed to get a running back. I didn't think we was going to get one with our first overall pick this season, but we did. And again, there's no knock from me.
Right.
My thing is, like, I felt like we needed to go prioritize edge rusher in this year's off season, simply because we was not able to get to Matthew Stafford in the last 2 meetings that we saw the Rams, but we didn't do it. And look, we were able to win the Super Bowl. We were able to go have a deep playoff run. We were able to run the ball effectively after we changed a couple of interior things with the coaching staff, and then it just took off from there. But to get a guy as talented as Jadarian Price, who is basically coming into the same situation as Josh Jacob was back when he was at Alabama and he was coming to the NFL, you don't have a lot of wear and tear on him. You had a guy that has never been a starter, that has never ever in his career, and he's coming in. He won't be the starter, but he's going to be able to impact. And you look at our running back room. Sharp is coming off injury, so he's coming up later in the year. Emmanuel Wilson, we got him from the Packers. He's a solid veteran running back as well. George Laney has had some reps last year. Kenny McIntosh, if he's healthy, he could possibly impact. It depends on how OTAs, training camp, and all that other stuff goes. But to add a kid like Price, who's massively explosive, who can run downhill, who can make guys miss, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about what we could potentially can do with the backfield like this, and with a guy like that could be able to impact it both on the ground and in the air, because he also has some good hands as well. And shoot, I'm fine with the draft class. We was able to get cornerbacks. We was able to get another offensive lineman that's going to challenge Anthony Bradford, like this offseason, as well as you get add another ball hawk to a Mike McDonald defense in the dark side. So I'm fine. I'm fine with as much as I would love to get an edge rusher. I'm actually fine at what we did because we got a ton of picks going in next season.
Right. No, and I think it's perfectly fair.
Your
I
turn.
mean, for our picks, a little more interesting. So Raywan Lane wasn't in this draft. No, Raywan Lane wasn't in this draft. I don't know where we got this one. Raywan Lane was last draft.
Okay.
But it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Is everything else right?
Everything else looks right for the most part. We took a linebacker out of Middle Tennessee with the last pick. Linebacker ran like a 4.4, which is crazy. But he's going to be special teams. Whatever. It's fine. Everything else before that is what's important. We're also missing DeFree, but whatever. That's fine. Here's where I'm at with this. I like the DeFree pick. I don't mind any of these picks. Pregnon was a phenomenal pick, especially for value at 88. He's going to already compete for the starting guard spot for sure, going right into camp. Where I'm at with this, Burkitcher was a little early, in my opinion. Regis was a little early, in my opinion. Jalen Husky was a little early, in my opinion. Wesley Williams is a little early, in my opinion. Koziol doesn't make a ton of sense, but was also a decent value at 5th round. But it doesn't make a ton of sense if you're taking Burkitcher already. Cameron Williams are going to be wide receivers 5 and 6, no questions about it. And DeFree out of Washington is going to be great if he can stay healthy. His coach and a lot of other people thought that this guy could have been a round 1, round 2 talent if he had stayed healthy his entire career, and injuries have always plagued him. So if he could put it together, we got a steal. But where I'm at with this entire draft, the only thing we didn't address was starting linebacker, which to me means that our front office has faith in either Kaiser from Notre Dame, who we took last year, or Ventrell Miller to pick up with Devin Lloyd's void in the linebacking core, which is going to be a lot, but we'll see. Those are very big shoes to fill because he was coming off a Pro Bowl season. Here's where I'm at with this. These are all positions that everybody in the fan base was hammering. And I'm going to give absolute credit to Wig from Locked on Jags podcast for this one. These are all positions that everybody wanted in the offseason outside of linebacker. We addressed every need we wanted for the most part. I think it was 3 tech and linebacker. Those are the 2 things we didn't address. But we got what we wanted. They just weren't the names that people were mocking on these consensus boards. I'm not mad at any of these picks. I'm not mad at any of them at all because I didn't sink in the time, the man hours, the film, the interviews, everything to really look into these players. And none of us really know where this is going to pan out until, 2-3 years down the road to see if it's even worth it. But I like our picks. I like our decisions. We clearly have faith in the roster we have. This is a move you make when you're drafting for guys who want to push raise the floor a little bit and, push the incumbent starters to get better. And if we only run it back and, get as many wins as we did last year, oh no, we got 13 wins again. Oh no. So I'm not mad at the class. Was it, a top tier best in show draft class? On paper, no. Was it inherently awful and the season's completely over? Also, no. It's fine. It was a perfectly fine draft class. I'm not that upset about it. I think we're good, and we'll see how it plays out in camp and later in the season. So that's where I'm at.
I think you said something interesting of how a lot of this had to do with building for the future. Because like this was an investment type draft. We've seen drafts like this where where you don't see a ton of superstars. You might not think both the casuals and a lot of the low level thinking football fans are not going to see like these guys are going to be franchise changers. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We don't really know. We have to see. But I think this is a long-term type draft where you're gonna get guys that are either gonna be able to contribute now, and if they're developed right, they can be something. But nothing. This was never a star-studded draft, and I think it's best to look at it and like it as such. Now, let's look at who would you say have been like. We still got a couple of minutes. We still got a few minutes to be able to talk about the draft. Who would you say like probably had a much of a weaker type draft? Who was more disappointing?
On paper, I mean,
Yes.
we on paper we didn't have the most flashy draft, and I'll be the first to say it. I don't think we had a super flashy draft, but we'll see what actually happens. I honestly, and this is going to sound like a bit of a cop-out answer, I don't think anybody had an inherently bad draft. Now, does that speak to the strength of the class, or is this like 2013 all over again when there's about 5 players that are actually worth it and the rest of the league or the rest of the players in the league are just god awful and are in and out within 3 years? So time will tell, but I don't think anybody had an inherently bad draft, if that makes any sense. Like nothing stood out to me as like the worst draft.
I'm looking at some articles online.
Like Browns were
ESPN.
fine, Cowboys were fine, but that's because they fell backwards into some of their picks. Eagles did good, Jets did good.
Browns were. Let's see. And again, we'll talk more about this later on in the show. Browns draft today. Cowboys, they got an A. I was impressed with Dallas. I'll give them their credit. As much as I don't like them, I will give them their credit. Raiders, A. Eagles, A. Even though, like, that was basically writing on the wall that A.J. Brown is coming to the Patriots and stuff like that. Trying to see.
Like
Minnesota
Falcons
Delaney
had,
going to the Chiefs.
Yeah, that was good. Falcons had an okay class.
That was good.
Packers and Broncos had an okay draft class. Texans had a couple good picks. I'll give them credit. Texans had a couple good picks. They had a couple questionable picks. But that's just how it is across the board. Like none of us Titans had a couple okay picks and a couple questionable picks. Like none of us know how this is going to pan out until later. Vikings did okay. Niners did okay. Like nobody had like you look at the draft class and you go, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Who did Belichick's dog make all these picks? Like what happened? Like nobody in this class or no draft class made me feel that way this year. There's always a couple like, but there's also some solid ones too.
Yep. All right. Let's get into some basketball.
Let's do it, man. NBA playoffs are in full swing. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
I'm gonna let you go because I think my whole screen is frozen at this moment. I can't click jack right now.
Well, let's jump right into it. Yeah, I can see you. You're still good. Let's jump right into the board then. As of recording this, correct me if I'm wrong. As recording this, OKC has swept, which surprises nobody. Orlando is up 3-1. Did Orlando finish that one?
Nah, they're still playing at this moment in time.
They're still playing. I think Orlando Pistons goes to 7. I called it last week. Boston's up 3-2. Knicks are up 3-2. Lakers are up. Minnesota's up. I think. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean we're in an interesting point. I think to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but go and show the ticker at the bottom of the screen too, and we'll take that down. I see the Nuggets finishing this just purely because Ant's out again, which I hate. I hate it for Minnesota because every time they get close to making a run, Ant goes down. And I don't think Minnesota can come back from that necessarily. Like Jalen is gone, by the way, for those of you who are watching on YouTube. So I'm going to be talking to myself for a little bit. We'll pull this back up. But to me, like if I look at this and I look at what's happening right now, Boston I see winning for sure. I see the Nuggets finishing this out. I see the Lakers finishing off Houston. He's back.
Oh, thank God. All right. Where were we?
I was saying how I hate this for Ant. How whenever the Nuggets or whenever the Timberwolves get close to making a run and making a push to go to the finals or really get some momentum, Ant goes down.
Well, you can make the same statement as far as like with Joel Embiid and the Sixers.
Street close?
I ain't gonna go that far because like
for Embiid, I'll go that far.
I guess. I guess.
Embiid.
I guess. But shoot, wrong one.
Do I still have that picture? Oh, please still have that picture.
On that situation. With, let's see, Thunder beating the Suns. There's no surprise there. Shouldn't be no shock to anybody. The Rockets most likely they're going to be done tonight by the Lakers. If they lose, God help us. With the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, you got to give the Timberwolves credit. They have been playing really good defense, but in Game 5, I know Ant is hurt, and this is the first time we've seen him with some injuries. Now he been nagged with some injuries this year in general, where he has missed a few games, and it took him a pill to be able to be eligible for offseason for like some like NBA awards. But outside of that, the Timberwolves have been fine. They've been able to hold it down. Rudy Gobert's having the best series of his career. And Jokic's playing some of the worst ball of his career, but you still got faith in them. But dog, if they're able to win tonight, Nuggets are winning the series.
We'll see. We'll
see. Like Timberwolves have to win, and but dog, winner. Let me go back to the bracket. Winner of this series got to go to San Antonio, and to be able to deal with that. And to me, like, if Ant does not come back, me personally as a fan, I want the Nuggets to go on, like, to be able to advance. Because if Ant does not play against the Spurs are sweeping them. I don't care how much trash Jay McDaniels talks. Now, as far as in the East side go, look, I'm gonna hold out faith that my Hawks can make maybe a few more adjustments and find a way to steal Game 6 and push it to 7.
Pistons won, by the way.
I hate losing to any New York team. Point blank, period. I hate the Knicks, but I hate losing to any New York team in general. So I'm gonna hold out faith. Like, literally, that's all I got. I gotta hold out faith. But back to the rest of the East. Look, the Raptors. The Raptors are what they are. The Raptors, the Cavs. I knew that was going to be a good series. I know how Toronto is during playoff time. So I don't know. I think that's going to be a 7-game series, but that's just me.
Pistons just won, by the way.
Okay, so they survived.
Just survived. Paolo Banchero's hero 45-point game was wiped out by Cade Cunningham's hero 45-point game.
Sounds about right.
It came
down.
The
Pistons got to do what they got to do. Or like, look, Game 6 is it.
Game 6 is it.
Like, I'm gonna go Orlando. That's just me.
I'm taking Orlando too.
I'm taking Orlando at this rate. Especially at home. Now, how did Jalen Duren do?
Jalen Duren did okay. I think he hit 12 points, 9 boards.
Okay, that's better than what he's been playing. That's better than what it's been.
Duren's got to show up. And to me, when I was in Boston last week, and I saw Orlando go up, what was it, 2-0? Something like that. Orlando went up 2-0, right? When they went up 2-0, no, it wasn't 2-0. They beat the brakes off of them in Detroit. And I looked at my coworker and I said, this is going to 7. And I will stand by it. I think this is going to 7. There is no way that Magic series doesn't go to 7. And I'm with you. I think the Magic beat it. I think the Magic win. I could see the Hawks might be going to 7 too. Boston's not going to 7. Boston is tomorrow.
Look, the Knicks will beat the crap out of us, but we got to make adjustments and we got to do lineups. Kispert cannot play. Tony Bradley cannot step foot on that court again. Like, they were just obsolete. I'm trying to figure out where the former number 1 overall pick in Zachary Risachet is. I get it. He is frail, but dang it, he's one of the best shooters on the team. Buddy Hield might not be a great defensive player, but he's one of the best shooters on the team and in the history of the league. Fact check me if you want.
Hey, you're not wrong.
They got to play.
And
Jalen Johnson, I got to get more out of you. I get it. It's your first playoff series. I get it. But I need to get more out of you. Now, I ain't going to put too much on to kill Alexander Walker. He hasn't played great offensively. But I expect him to be a number 2, maybe a number 3. at most, because CJ is 34 years old. He's got it worn down, and he's been balling the first 2 games. So
Atlanta's
I
doing
need
Atlanta
more.
things.
But dog, your team got to go back to Philly.
We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine.
Okay, if you all right, let's say y'all go into Philly, y'all losing this in Game 7. Are you still concerned? Like, are you not concerned?
No, because it goes back to Boston.
And
if I ain't worried about Philly, I dang sure ain't worried about being in Boston. We're gonna be fine. Celtics are winning tomorrow night as of recording this. We're recording this on the 29th. Game 6 is on the 30th. Boston's winning. It's happening. Which I'm pretty sure I called Boston in 6.
Yeah,
no, I call Boston. I call Boston in 5, not 6. I'll own it. I call Boston in 5. But they'll win in 6 for sure. This won't go to 7.
All right.
But that's where I'm at. I could see, yeah, that's what I'm feeling about this. So is it time? Do we add a little extra time for Click-Debait? Because I think this will be fun.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything like a lot faster than we usually did. Real quick before we go in there, you want to recap? You want to recap anybody's? Well, let's recap maybe a few more drafts, both good and bad, and then that'll take us into our Click-Debait.
Okay.
Because remember we were talking about it a little bit. I wanted to get in more, but I think we got plenty of time to be able to do that now.
I think Houston, and I will give. Go ahead.
Let me give you this. So I know they're in your division, and you even said when I said Jeremiah Love is going to the Cardinals, you were like, thank you, God. So, but with the Titans, you drafted Cardinal Tate, you drafted Keldrick Falk, and Anthony Hill Jr. For me, I felt like that was a good draft because you're able to give Cam Ward another weapon on the outside, and you have to. But look, I get it, you're a Jaguars fan, but as a football guy, what did you think about their draft?
About the Titans draft?
Yes.
Carnell Tate was a consolation prize. Anthony Hill Jr. was a good pick.
You felt like they really wanted Love that bad.
100%. You look me in the eye and tell me that Tajay Spear, Michael Carter, and Tony Pollard are better than Jeremiah Love.
Oh no, I can't.
Exactly. To me, and we can lock this in now, in my humble opinion, I think Jeremiah Love is the only surefire pick in the first round. The kid's gonna succeed.
I won't knock that. It's just going to be tough because the Cardinals need more. But
Cardinals didn't do anything in their O-line either, if I remember correctly.
I don't really care about them. Like nobody in the division really cares about them. But just to keep it a book.
And we'll hear in the state ofs. Shout out Sports After Dark. We'll hear in the state ofs. They are very, very loud. But like for the Cardinals, I mean, look, they took Jeremiah Love, which was smart. I don't know anything about the guard they took from A&M. Carson Beck is hilarious.
That was
hilarious.
Yeah.
Hold on. We got to put Carson Beck up on the screen. Oh, we got to hide us. Hold on. We got to take us off the screen real quick so we can see Carson. Oh shit! The Cloth is going to Arizona. Good for him. There wasn't anything that really blew my mind necessarily. Like, I will say, what was questionable to me is the Bears taking a third tight end. Because they drafted Cole pretty high last year. They already have Cole Kmet, who's not going to be younger. And Sam Roush isn't bad.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm going to agree with what Gladstone was saying. Gladstone was saying how the trends are showing that they're going to start running a lot of 11 to 12 personnel with a lot of those bigger tight end sets. And, people are bulking up on tight ends. And I feel like it showed in this draft. We had so many tight ends being taken on day 2 and 3. An unbelievable amount of tight ends. Well, not unbelievable, but a bunch of tight ends being taken on day 2 and 3. Also, shout out Matt Olson for hitting a walk-off homer against Detroit. Braves are now 22-9 So I know I'm happy. But I don't think there was any inherently bad draft class. No crazy picks that really like had me super confused. I think Mansour Delane it was a great pick. The trade up for it was a little interesting, but it was a good pick.
I think that was real. Well, here's the thing. There's a few positions that you trade up for: quarterback, wide receiver, edge rusher, corner, maybe offensive lineman, but definitely corner. You definitely trade up for one of those skill guys.
Mesidor was a good pick for the Chargers.
I mean, you look you look at Ruben Bain going to the Bucks. That was a solid pick. But like but with Delaney to the Chiefs. You look at what the Chiefs did. They let go of Justin Watson. They let go of what's that dude's name? They're both with the Rams.
Oh shoot!
God, I'm brain farting.
It's gonna bother me.
Yeah.
He was the big free agent signing for him this past year, and the Rams are very happy about it. Hold on, let me try to find it. Keep scrolling. Where's it? Trent McDuffie. That's where he went.
Yeah, Trent McDuffie and
Jalen Watson and McDuffie both went. Jalen Watson.
You said Justin or Jalen? Jalen Watson.
Jalen.
Okay. You got Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie being Rams, and you had to load up in the secondary. So, and look, I was high on in Delaney, and I think they're going to be good.
Buccaneers fell backwards into Ruben Bain.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
Atlanta takes the screen god.
I don't think the Falcons had the fact that they drafted an offensive player from Georgia really kind of surprised me. But they're under new ownership, so
Avion Terrell with AJ Terrell is going to be real cool.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Not to mention he's really talented. So
yeah, it was a good pick.
I'm guessing the Falcons are going to be underrated. We'll have to see. All right, you ready?
Yeah, nothing really blew my mind, but let's get into it. We've stalled enough. I feel like it is time for Click-Debait. This week on Click-Debait, Jalen, what topic are we doing?
All right, so with Click-Debait, our question for today is: do draft classes or consensus boards do they matter at all when it comes to draft evaluation?
I know where I stand on this, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, but this banner should tell you everything I feel. I think draft grades are stupid. I think consensus boards are stupid. I think the idea of stuff like that is great for media, for generating clicks, for generating all kinds of momentum and things to talk about during the offseason. It gets fan bases riled up. Case in point, there's a bunch of people doing things today. If anybody follows us on Twitter, you saw what I was saying to but then we get all these guys like Underdog Fantasy Football, whoever that is. I know who Underdog is, but now we get fantasy football, quote unquote, experts doing draft grades based on Lord knows what. And they're saying, I think what they said on this page was, I gave them an F and I'm concerned here. They said that they drafted arrogantly because we don't understand value. But it's not going to be a problem. It's not going to stop our momentum because Liam Cohen is a great coach. That's what they said. Draft grades are inherently dumb, and I can prove it to you. Would you like to know some of the dumbest draft grades that were? And consensus boards are stupid too. Tony Baselli was just on a podcast or just doing a radio interview this morning. And they asked him about people reviewing our picks. And he was quoted saying, why do we spend 11 months preparing for the draft? Why do we watch 1,000+ college football games? Why do we do any of it? Because obviously the consensus guys in their basements have all the answers, which I think is hilarious. But here's where I'm at. Would you like to know how many players, and this goes both ways. We're going to start with the negative and go to the positive. Jalen, do you think Ed Reed got good draft grades?
No.
This is Hall of Fame safety, part of the legendary Miami defense, Ed Reed. Good draft grades. The answer is no. Scouts considered Ed Reed undersized and not physical enough to produce at a high level in the NFL of the time. And the Ravens were going to draft Napoleon Harris, and then the Raiders took him at 23. Ed Reed is a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Indianapolis Colts were clowned for taking Shaq Leonard so early at the with their pick a couple years ago. Shaq Leonard has historically been one of the better linebackers in the NFL, and I'm pretty sure he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. You get who else? I'm trying to think of some other ones. Emmitt Smith was told how awful he was. Emmitt Smith was told that he was just a knockoff Walter Payton and had only straight line speed. J.J. Watt had media people saying that they were going to regret taking the pizza boy. You've got so many other players who were given horrible grades because they didn't pass the eye test on paper by media pundits and people like ourselves with a microphone. It's like they also said that there was an Arizona writer who said that he wasn't high on Rob Gronkowski, who will also be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bruce Smith, the offensive lineman for the Bills, was told that he was lazy and likes to eat too much, and he's also in Canton. There's so many players. Some of this is coming from Pardon My Take, so shout out to those guys. Your guy Jalen Hurts, 47% of people in a poll voted that the grade was an F. 20 years, somebody said he'll be at Trent Richardson's Hall of Fame speech. Case in point. But let's go to some of the other ones too, just to show you that these are insane.
Before we do that, let me give you my thought on my answer to the question.
Okay, I got one more. I got one nail I want to put in the coffin first, and this is my favorite one to bring up. Do you know what Mel Kiper said about Jimmy Clausen?
Nope.
Mel Kiper said that Jimmy Clausen, if he was not a successful quarterback in the NFL within 8 years, he would retire. He would quit, and he would retire on that day. Jimmy Clausen didn't last 8 years. Jimmy Clausen was out of the league in 2015 after being drafted in 2010 with a 1-13 record as a starter after bouncing around to 4 to 5 different teams. So draft grades mean nothing. The consensus board is stupid. And none of us will really know if this is going to pan out or not until 3 years down the road, because these consensus boards and draft grades also don't take into account scheme fit and other things like that, intangibles that these guys are actually looking for. Maybe they're looking for a guy who can stop the run, not a guy who can rush the passer, because that's what they need. And they don't. I can go for another 20 minutes, but I don't need to. I'm sorry. Jalen, go ahead. My fault, man. I've been heated, if you can't tell.
You went the route as far as like they don't matter. I'm just gonna say it's fun.
No, it's fun. Don't get me wrong.
Let me finish. It's fun. I know you mentioned that it's fun and it's good for the media pundits. It's good for views. It's great for the discussion. I get all that, but I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. I think they matter just a tad bit, mainly for not the diehard actual football thinking people. It's for the ones that are not heavy into football like that. It's for the casuals. This is for the rest of the masses, not the small percentage that actually pays attention. This is for the casuals, the ones that don't want to do the deep research. They just go ahead and go on Google, Chat GPT, whatever the heck, or whatever AI that you want to use. It's for those people that want to be able to do and figure out, hey, where does my favorite team's draft class rank among some of the best? What was our grade? It gives them the slight bit of hope to be able to look forward to going into like next season. And it's either going to give them hope and like adulation, or it's going to give them a whole bunch of like disappointment, depression, and despair. I mean, dog, I'll give you a prime example. Back in 2016, when I think NFL Network graded the Atlanta Falcons draft class, Keanu Neal was their first pick, 12th overall, or 16, probably one of that range. They had in that draft class, it was Deion Jones, it was Austin Hooper, and Devontae Campbell. They turned out to be really good, and they had that right. So you got to give them credit. But like the saying says, a dead clock is right twice a day. I mean, so like you're gonna have some that are gonna be very accurate, and then you're gonna have some that are not. All in all, the whole point of the draft grades And the whole point of the consensus board is for a lot of the casuals that do not feel like putting in that work to be able to analyze and literally see, hey, where does my team actually rank? What do we do? How do we do? And it's for a lot of those, not even just casuals. It's for them people that don't have enough time to be able to pay attention to all the stuff that we got time to pay attention to. So that's why I said, like, that's kind of where it matters most. Not as far as the decision making of things, but it's more so for the fans part. So that's why I say it matters.
So to me, and I agree with you on part of that. So I'm not saying it doesn't serve a purpose, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, in front office, if your front office is looking at the consensus board, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't think. Well, it's these guys. It's their job, their actual job, to find these players that are going to keep their multi-million-dollar team at relevancy, to win and get more money, get more investment. This is a business. It's their job to be as successful as humanly possible. Where it's, and I'm gonna throw this in the same ring as this, where it's our job to sit in my point, in a office space / spare bedroom, talking to a microphone over a podcast, like our opinions actually matter. So,
Yeah.
I'm just calling it how I see it.
Pretty
but
much.
To me, it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. And none of us know, unless we're even people in the front office doing it. Dude, look at all these guys who are supposed to be surefire successes.
Yep.
Look, and we all know the story.
A lot of them don't pan out.
Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell, Achilles Smith. There's so many players who are supposed to be, they're guaranteed successes on every metric humanly possible.
Yep.
And they flopped. None of us will actually know what happens for the same reason why coaches get 3 years to figure it out. None of us will actually know what happens with these players, so they were worth it until about 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
So while it and I'm with you, while it has a purpose, because here we are talking about it,
yep,
it gets media engagement, it gets clicks, it gets traffic to website. Draft grades do serve a purpose. It gets the fan bases engaged. Yep. It gives them something to talk about. It gives us something. It gives podcasts something to talk about. Case in point. But it doesn't actually matter. And anybody using a consensus board to tell me why my team or anybody's team is dumb, go for it, man. Season's over. Sorry, I'll quote tweet what we said. I'll quote to what I put out on our account earlier today after I saw that thing from Underdog Fantasy.
Ready to close it out?
Yeah, it said, well, guys, season is over. The Fantasy Football Podcast gave us an F for being arrogant in how we draft, but it shouldn't affect our momentum coming off a 13-win season, per the panel of experts, of course. So, again, believe in your draft grade. Don't believe in your draft grade. There are players now, so we'll see how they go. But that's where I feel they're stupid. Jalen, you feel that they serve a purpose.
Yep.
Do you feel they're stupid but serve a purpose? Because I feel like we can agree on that.
I think we could probably.
Stupid but serve a purpose. I'm with you.
It's based on perception. Like, who are we to judge?
Who are we to? We don't know. I don't even work in that field.
I'm trying to.
I know you are. I know you are. But all right, man. You got anything else you want to get into?
Nah.
Let's get out of here, man. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We really do appreciate it. As always, you know what to do. Follow us on the socials at TDSN Pod on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all the fun stuff like that. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all those fun things like that. Got to go down that route. Like and subscribe, follow, hit the bell for all the Twitter, all the YouTube accounts you can see when we live stream. Jump in the comments. We live stream this. If you disagree with us, you have an opinion you want to make, we'll read it out. We do that all the time, especially if we like it. But yeah, we do it all the time. So jump in, be a part of the show. We appreciate it. You can also let us know how much you like it by rating 5 stars whatever podcast platform you listen to. Retweet the show, stuff like that. That's how you get a shout out at the end. But if you didn't like the show, totally fine. We appreciate the time. We can't give it back to you. We would if we could, but we can't. But no reason to leave a negative review. Doesn't help you. Doesn't help us. You go your way, we'll go ours. We do appreciate you giving us a shot. But like I said, shout outs come at the end of the show. As always, get a list of shout outs again. Retweet the show. Let us know about it. Repost the show. Whatever socials do. Let us know or rate 5 stars and remind us. Whatever podcast platform you listen to. Doesn't matter. So, but yeah, let us know. Shout outs happen if we are a show that, if you like our show, we think you like their show as well. So, as always, go check out Jim, a fan of the van. Him and I are going to eventually do Steel and Teal once my life slows down. Then we got some draft stuff to talk about. Brandon at 1420 Sports, Aaron at Brutally Honest, Darian over at Chill Takes. I know he's a big fan of this draft class. Go check out E-Man at Amateur Sports. Him and Jim do a show called Cigar and Sports. John at Wrestling Fan Insight. I'm sure he has some takes that we've been seeing recently, whether you're a hardcore fan or a casual fan or anything in between. Go check out that show as well. Always go check out Sports After Dark. Love everyone over there. We got to get them on the show again at some point.
Yep.
We're working on it. I'm sure. I want to know everybody's thoughts on their draft. I know Lou and I got to catch up anyways. Go check out IIP Radio. If you're looking to gamble, please do it responsibly. Don't bet the rent, because rent is due in probably by the time I post this.
Yeah, by the time.
Rent's due.
Yep.
Don't bet the rent. Don't bet the water bill, the light bill, the phone bill. Gamble responsibly outside of vendor facilities. And listen to Nate's Daily Wager. Thank you. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Peace.